Venus in retrograde. Has your social life just basically gone kablooey? Everything's gone wrong. Relationships are falling apart. Bank account is crying in a corner. Maybe your self-esteem's taking a hit. Parties aren't going as planned. You're trying out new fashions and it's just, nope, didn't work. Didn't work quite the way you wanted it to. Yep, well, all of those things fall under Venus's purview. Yeah, but don't worry. It'll be over soon. So from July 22nd to September 4th, Venus is in retrograde. I'm sorry I stumbled over that, but every take I've done of this, I keep saying November 4th, and it's not. It's September 4th. So yeah, and yes, microphone is back. I fixed the issue. I am quite happy. So you are getting some clear sounding videos, finally. Thank you for your patience so much. I just greatly appreciated. So yeah, anyway, back to Venus in retrograde. So in order to understand why everything is falling apart, you have to understand what Venus controls in the first place. Now, Venus is a planet of feminine energy. It's named after the Roman goddess of love and beauty, so that would make sense. So art and love, wherever Venus goes in our chart, they follow. On top of that, she also controls Libra and Taurus. So if you have any friends that are Libra and Tauruses and they're just going through it, just be patient. It'll get better. A few weeks, you'll be good. Doesn't help that at this point we are overlapping with Mercury retrograde and all of the other planets in retrograde, but it'll get better. It'll start to smooth itself out. Venus is also a planet of pleasure, so every 18 months for a 42-day period, Venus ends up in retrograde. Now, how does that happen? Because Venus is already in retrograde anyway. In the last video, we found that Venus naturally flows backwards, clockwise to Earth's counterclockwise motion. So in this case, when they say Venus is in retrograde, what's happened is she's slowed down in her orbit. So it appears like she's moving slower during this time, thus more heavily impacting all of us here on Earth. That's the theory. So these are 5 things that go wrong when Venus is in retrograde. First one, relationship problems. Now this one is kind of it's got an onion effect to it. It's very layered because it will depend on what type of relationship you're in. So if you're in a committed long-term relationship, you might be finding that you are facing some rather large challenges. Things maybe have cooled off. There are certain issues that are being brought back up. What Venus in retrograde does for any relationship, whether it's a long-term or short-term, it is forcing you to reevaluate your relationships, and it's forcing you to address these issues. And with any luck, you will come out of it stronger and more united in the end. Now, if you're in a newer relationship, you may be facing these same problems, or you are seeing with a newfound clarity a lot of things that are deal breakers in your relationship. So it might be before you were willing to overlook them, now they've become quite stark. And what's happening is it's forcing you to readdress and reevaluate what you want in your relationships, what are and what aren't you willing to put up with. So it's reassessing, reevaluating, clarifying, that kind of stuff. If you are single, it's going to feel like all of your options have dried up. Maybe you've just had a string of flings. Nothing is substantial. If you've been single for a while, it might be that you feel like you want to get back out there in the dating pool, and maybe you are trying to work through and address and contemplate, what am I actually looking for? What do I want? What don't I want? So it's, like I said, it's layers and layers of relationship issues and addressing, clarifying. Basically, whenever any planet's in retrograde, it is making you reassess what you value. So in this case, it's going to be, what do you value in your relationships? Because Venus is a planet of love, I feel like the focus will generally tend to be on romantic relationships. At least that's how a lot of the articles presented themselves. You, however, may also be finding a lot of these issues popping up in family relationships, friendships. You know, you might find a lot of similarities among different types of relationships because there are different types of love. So that is also very possible. I think the focus generally tends to be on romance because Venus and Aphrodite were both more romantic and erotic love as opposed to familial or brotherly love. But just in case, if you do find you're reevaluating family relationships, friendships, that could be more than entirely possible, and it makes sense because those are people you love and care about and they have a place in your life, but maybe there are things that you need to work through there as well. Now, moving on to another thing that is kind of a secondary issue but can complicate the first is the reappearance of old lovers. Yeah, that's right. They're gonna pop up quite possibly, and especially now that Mercury is also in retrograde, you might find that in this kind of week and a half period where people just are kind of reaching back out and popping up. If you are lucky, it might just be for closure and healing, whether they need it, they feel you need it. This is generally one of those things where I feel like the universe is kind of like, you need answers, you need closure on this issue, this person's going to come back into your life, and then they may just disappear again, or they'll just kind of stay there on the fringes, probably where they belong because they're your ex for a reason, even if you've parted on very amicable terms. Or it could be if you did part on amicable terms, things have healed enough and have settled enough that you can actually be present in one another's lives without either of your relationships completely imploding. Now that brings up another issue. It is possible that these people are reaching out and your relationship could potentially implode because you're just playing with fire. I have to leave that up to you because you are hopefully adult enough to know how to handle that. Yeah. Okay. We're going to leave that there. I will note, though, I am going to play the Greek chorus. If the toxic ex reach outs, do not answer your ex. Do not text your ex back. The toxic one, not the nice one. Leave them be. They can go away. I don't care how much closure you need. That might be a door that's not worth opening. Only you can decide. I'll give you that much. But if you can, just leave that door closed. Yeah. All right. Anyway, the second major thing that comes up. The third item on our list, but the second major thing is money. So you might have found that a lot of financial prospects have run dry. Hope if you freelance or whatnot, maybe you're having a hard time getting work. If you're used to getting a lot of overtime, maybe you're not getting it. Whatever it may be, that's one aspect of it. Another thing is your impulse buying. You're not paying attention to your budget. You're just picking up things. Ooh, pretty. Would like that. Oh, that looks like something I could use. Oh, this is nice. Have no use for it, but it's really cool. And now you're paying for it. So hold on to those receipts. Hopefully you're still within the 90-day, 60 to 90-day return policy. Hopefully it's not a 30-day return policy. Because, you're over that at this point. It does note, though, in some of the articles that if you are thinking about trying for a raise, this is a good time to start negotiations. You may not get it right away, but it's a good time to start planting the seeds and trying to negotiate. Just be very careful, as we'll discuss in the Mercury retrograde video. You might need to wait until the middle of September before you really pursue this because you don't want any miscommunications to come up. But it is a good time to start that. Get the ball rolling and figure out what kind of raise you can get. Maybe it's a good time for business ventures or start, looking into those things. Maybe building partnerships, building relationships to try and get in a position where you can get the financial ball rolling. Number 4 on our list is self-esteem. Now, Venus is, again, is a planet of confidence. So maybe your self-confidence has taken a hit. Maybe you've been dwelling on certain aspects of yourself that you feel like, I should be doing better, I need to change, blah, blah, blah. I kind of found myself in this boat, and because I had never actually looked into Venus in retrograde, when I started to read it, I was like, oh, this explains a lot. Oh, okay, yeah, that tracks. All right, I can live with that. Now's a good time to have a lot of those self-care routines in place, whatever they may be. Maybe it's just affirmations. Maybe it's just doing the things that bring you joy. It's setting boundaries, saying no, or agreeing to do things. It depends. You have to take care of yourself in that respect always, because as the saying goes, you can't get blood from a stone. If you're physically exhausted and you say you're going to do something and you end up resenting it, that doesn't help anybody, because you're working on empty. So you need to take time to recharge for yourself. This is especially true if you are in a caregiver role, a parent, if you're caring for a sick family member, an older family member. If you are a workaholic and you tend to push yourself, sooner or later you're going to burn out. So try to avoid that and put those self-care routines in place, not only during Venus in retrograde, but just in general. All right, our 5th thing. This one kind of caught me off guard. Not going to lie, I wasn't expecting it, but it did come up. And it was fashion. So like haircuts, trying out new fashions, renovations, which was another one. Are things not going quite the way you planned? You got that really super cute haircut, didn't quite work out the way you wanted, tried out some new fashions, those didn't go quite the way you wanted, or maybe you think you look fantastic and your friends are just all standing around there going, no, what did you do? But they're just too nice to say it. Or not. Maybe you've got that one friend that's like, no, you need to return that. Where are the receipts? I will go with you. We're returning it, and you're finding something else. So, however that played out in your life. And remember, hair grows, dye grows out. So, if you've made an unfortunate hair choice, it will grow. It will grow. It will change. You can re-dye your hair if you need to, a different color or a different pattern, however you see fit. But I know that one was just awkward. It's just very yeah, like, I don't know. The renovation part especially was the one that kind of got me. I'm sorry, I'm looking down at my notebook. But yeah, that was the one that got me, because I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this information? Because if you're in the middle of a reno, like, what are you supposed to do? Stop and wait till the end? Like, are you supposed to second guess yourself? Like, what? I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. Not go into renovations? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you're supposed to do that. Same thing with fashion. Like, you could really like something and it could work really well for you and you got super lucky, and then you try something on, you're like, oh, this looks nice. You get it home, try it on, and go, ew, no. That happens to my mom a lot. She'll, it'll look great on the store. She comes home and she's like, ugh, no, what happened? So I'll leave that with you. You can do with that what you will. It was kind of that information. It's like, well, this is interesting. It's amusing. I don't know what you're going to do with it, because I slightly dropped the ball. When I started looking into the what is retrograde and Mercury retrograde videos and saw 7 planets in retrograde. Didn't stop to think, because I had so many other videos I wanted to do, and life happens. I didn't think to check what they were. Or when they were, for that matter. So, yeah, That's slightly my fault, but all the same, I don't know what to do with that. There was other information that I really didn't know what to do with either. I think one article I found. I don't know if I think it was from like 2022, 2021, somewhere around there. When was the last time Venus was in retrograde? Or if it was from this time. It's like, yeah, don't get married during this period. And I'm like, what? What are people supposed to do? Reschedule their weddings? Like, summer is the biggest time for weddings. Who gives that advice? Honestly. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? Are you now supposed to be completely paranoid if you got married sometime between July 22nd and you're getting married somewhere between September 4th? Like, really? Like, what? Sorry, honey. We need to reschedule because Venus is in retrograde and it's a bad time for marriages. What? Hopefully you're not that deep into the weeds in astrology. If you are, I guess you would have planned for a different wedding date. So, for those of you that don't care, go right ahead. May you have a happy and long marriage. For those of you that do, you probably planned around that. There is also, you can look up to see how Venus in retrograde affects your individual sun sign. I'm sure if you really want to get into the weeds, you can do rising signs and moon signs as well. See how Venus in retrograde affects you in that respect. So have at it. It was a little bit more in depth than I was willing to go. But you at least have, at the very least, a basis. Oh yeah, the other thing was parties. Social graces and parties not going well. Well, I feel like anyone that's ever thrown a party ever always assumes that something's going to go wrong, or you just expect it. You're like, people are going to show up late, it's going to rain, hopefully the food doesn't go bad. Like, that would be a catastrophic thing. But like, something's going to happen. You're going to end up with a super hot day, or it's going to be super cold. It's going to rain like the dickens. The skies are going to open up. I mean, the only really catastrophic things would be if you were unlucky enough, I guess, to have a hurricane or a tornado. Or, some kind of natural disaster during your party. But otherwise, fruit fly. Otherwise, I just think I think something's going to go wrong. Like, you may not know what, but you know something's gonna happen. I don't know. But yeah, so that was another thing, was parties not going as planned. The best laid plans, something always goes wrong. So I feel like that's just a given. But like I said, hopefully it's not something like you've burned the main, your main meal, or the food went bad. I don't know. But yeah, that was another one. So just being patient, I suppose. Just, plan on things going wrong. Hope it's nothing too catastrophic and too, too bad, I guess. I don't know. All right, I'm going to stop here before I continue to babble on and on for no reason. But thank you for stopping by. If you enjoy the videos, please like and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Take care, my friends, and until we meet again. Bye.